Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for entrepreneurs. On the podcast with us today is Kimberly Scott. She's the host of Industry Celebrities Podcast. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Kimberly. We are looking forward to talking with you, and we would love for you to get us started and just kind of tell us a little bit about where your focus is right now, and maybe give us a little bit of detail as to your journey and how you got there.
Okay, sure. So my focus right now is Industry Celebrities Podcast, where I'm asking all sorts of professionals to help me hone my interview skills. I ask them several different questions, making it short and sweet. Yeah.
So I want you to walk us through first a tough decision that you've had to make as an entrepreneur that first off did not have that good of an outcome. I like to call it the sore thumb tough decision, and kind of walk us through some lessons that you might have learned through that tough decision.
Well, okay. So I started a company in 2003 that the niche was video production, and we catered to the multi-family apartment industry. We grew to about 2.2 in revenue, and that was after raising capital. We had about 20 employees, and at some point we decided that we needed, our investors wanted us to repay them. We wanted to figure something out. We couldn't figure out the something. So we decided we were going to sell. So that way, because they wanted to do a wrap up, we were like, we don't want to do that. That's not, no way, Jose. And so we made the decision that we would go and sell the company for the greater good, so that our employees, had life, our product could grow, we could have some relief, in the responsibility avenue and just overall support for both our employees and our clients and our product. So we sold in 2017, and that transition didn't go very well. We left 4 months thereafter, I guess. It happened in January. We left in June. So it didn't have the best outcome for us, me and my business partner, but it definitely had a better outcome. It was for the greater good of our employees and our clients.
What would you say is something that you could have done differently to have a different outcome?
That's tough because I don't feel like you don't know what you don't know. And if I could have done it differently, maybe would have done it with a different company. Mm-hmm. Even though we had been looking for a while, but maybe with different investors altogether. I always tell people, if you go and get investment, make sure it's with like-minded individuals that share the same goal. And we didn't have that, just out of circumstance. Our investors were kind of detached and didn't ever think we were going to make any money. So when we started making money, we weren't aligned anymore. They wanted out and we didn't want out. So
the biggest lesson is when you're going out to look for investors, make sure that you find investors that are aligned with your same values, almost like, bringing them on as a partner, because they really are. Even though they might be more of a kind of a silent partner or kind of a passive type partner, they still need to be aligned with your particular values so that they can, make the decisions that are in the greater good of the company versus just in general, correct?
Yes. But things change. We stretched $1 million over 3 years, and technology changes. Everybody's life happens. So you definitely having them check in more often would have been, and making sure that we were continually on the same page, which is always a good thing. We should have focused more on
active instead of just passive with that investment.
Absolutely.
So let's pivot here and talk about a tough decision that you had that had a really good and positive outcome, or maybe an outcome that was even better than you had expected, and some lessons that you learned through that one.
Well, in the selling process, the best outcome for me was that I discovered that I had a new passion, and definitely had when you run hard for 15 years, it definitely wears your mind and body down. And the best thing for me was that I found a new passion, and the best thing that also came out of it was our employees, had jobs if they wanted them. And because the company that purchased us was then also acquired by another company, there shortly after we left, the new company that's where our majority of our employees have stayed, and they're thriving and growing. They have stock options, they have different departments that they can choose from, even though it is corporate, it's still, for those that want to stay, have definitely been thriving in it. So overall, I feel like it turned out the way it was supposed to.
Can you talk a little bit about the strategies that you use when you're facing a tough decision? How you come to a place where you're ready to move forward in a specific direction when you're faced with a really difficult choice?
Well, I breathe first, and then I don't text, email, I don't do anything, but just kind of think through everything in my head and make a phone call to a friend or a mentor or somebody that I know is going to give me straight, non-biased feedback, not somebody that's just going to tell me what I want to hear. and then, I give it about 8 hours, sleep on it for sure, and then make the decision with a clear head and in a non-emotional state.
We are back with Kimberly Scott. I want you to talk to us first in this series of quick questions and answers that we like to call the trifecta on what is your favorite technology that you use in business that helps make your life easier as an entrepreneur?
Well, when you said that, I was like, the CamScanner. It's an app that goes on the phone. It's technology, and it's helping me get paperless. I can scan anything and file it, put it in a folder on my desktop or Google Drive. And that definitely has been very helpful in my world. And the Alexa show, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts from the Alexa show as well. So that.
Do you say it's an app for your iPhone, the CamScanner?
It's iPhone or Android. Yeah. CamScanner.
Huh.
You don't need your old fashioned, it's your scanner on the go. It's the best way to put it. And there's a free version and then there's a paid version, obviously.
Okay. What's a quote that you've read or heard that's helped you as an entrepreneur?
If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
And what about a book that you've read that you'd recommend to our audience?
Crushing It by Gary Vee.
And what's the next thing for you right now on your vision or your dream?
What's next for me is my second podcast, Caregiver Stories, Breaking the Dementia Cycle, where I educate others on all things dementia by sharing my mom and I's journey with her being diagnosed with dementia, early onset, and as well as highlighting stories of other caregivers that are caring for their loved ones with dementia, so that we can educate the world on this symptom that is a symptom of 20 plus other diseases that will be overtaking our world, or that is overtaking our world, I should say.
How can the listeners reach out to you to start to follow you more and get some more information about you?
They can search iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, Kimberly D. Scott, and follow me on all those channels, Insta, LinkedIn. Yeah, Kimberly D. Scott. There's a lot of Kimberlys in the world, but Kimberly D. Scott seemed to be the one that was the easiest.
Sure.
It's my middle name.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today. We really appreciated you being on and look forward to following you more as you continue to grow your podcast and as you continue to develop that Amazon Alexa skill. And, I look forward to having you on a future episode as you continue to grow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for having me today.